1.3. 1.3, we are now 1.2 was based on desk factory. And then now 1.3 is now focusing on chairs factory. Chairs factory. As we read in the first statement, that Sihle Sangweni owns 2 separate factories that manufactures products according to orders received. So there is 2 separate factories. There is a desk factory and a chairs factory. So now 1.3 is now focusing on the chairs factory. 1.3.1. 1.3.1 provide a calculation to confirm the break-even point for 2019. We want to confirm the break-even point for 2019. Remember the formula for calculating break-even point, it is total fixed cost. Total fixed cost. You are not required to write the formula when you are writing an exam. I'm just reminding you of the formula. This total fixed cost over selling price per unit minus variable cost per unit. Total fixed cost over selling price per unit minus variable cost per unit. This is the formula of calculating break-even point. But you are not required to rewrite the formula when you are in the examination room, as that will waste your time. You just need to shoot into the calculation. So the total fixed cost, let's go to page 5. The total fixed cost for chairs, the fixed cost is not given, the totals is not given. So we are only given the fixed cost per unit for 2019. There is a fixed cost, which is factory overhead cost per unit of 76 Rand and administration cost per unit of 20 Rand. Factory overheads and administration cost are regarded as fixed cost. You must always remember that. But variable cost, it will be your direct material, your direct labor, your selling and distribution. But your fixed cost will be your factory overheads and your administration cost. And in this case, we want the total fixed cost, but we are given the cost per unit. And the cost per unit for factory overheads is 76, and the cost per unit for administration is 20 Rand. So 76 plus 20 Rand will give you 96. So the total fixed cost per unit is 96, and the number of units produced is 16,000 for the chairs for 2019. The number of units produced is 16,000. So 96 multiplied by 16,000. 96 multiplied by 16,000 will give you 1,536,000. That's just, let me just put the calculation in brackets here. It's your 96 fixed cost per unit multiplied by the total number of units produced, which is 16,000, and that is giving 1,536,000. This is our total fixed cost. Our total fixed cost is 1,536,000, and the selling price per unit for the chairs is 390. Selling price per unit is 390. Make sure. Yeah, this is 390. The selling price per unit is 390, and variable cost per unit. The variable cost, total variable cost per unit, we are given the total variable cost per unit for chairs, which is 305. 305. So we have 1,536,000. 1,536,000 over 390 minus 305 will give you 85. 85. 390 minus 305 will give you 85. So we have 1,536,000 divided by 85 equals to 18,071. So that's 18,071. 18,071. Remember, this 18,071 is given here. The 18,071 is given in information B. Break-even point for chairs for 2019 is 18,071. So the break-even point was given, which is 18,071. Ours was to prove that this 18,071 is correct. So having gone through this calculation of break-even point, we have now proved that the 18,071 break-even point is correct. Even when this is marked in the exam, the only marks will be allocated to your total fixed cost, your selling price per unit minus your variable cost per unit, but the marks, there will be no marks for the final answer, as the final answer was provided. The only thing that is required from us is to prove that the final answer is correct. Right. 1.3.2. So 1.3.1 was to prove the break-even point. So we have proven that 18,071 is correct. So now we are proceeding to 1.3.2. 1.3.2. Comment on the break-even point and the production level achieved. Quote figures, 4 marks. So now we need to comment on this break-even point. The break-even point is 18,071. Remember, the break-even point is the number of units that the business needs to produce and sell before it starts making a profit. So this is the minimum number. If the business can produce 18,071 units, it will mean that the business is neither making profit nor loss. But if we produce more than 18,071, it will mean that we are making a profit. But if we produce less than 18,071, we are making a loss. But if we produce exactly 18,071, there is neither profit nor loss. So looking at the number of units produced here for the chairs, which is 16,000, 16,000 is less. The number of units produced is 16,000, and 16,000 is 2,071 less than the break-even point. So this business is running at a loss. So the number of units produced, the number of units produced, the number of units produced is 2,071 less than the break-even point. Business is running at a loss. We have produced less than the break-even point. We have produced only 16,000. We did not even cover the break-even point and produce 18,000, but we have produced 2,071 units less. The number of units produced is 2,071 units less than the break-even point. So the business is running at a loss. So that is 1.3.2. And 1.3.3, 1.3.3. 1.3.3, raw material consists of wood only. In 2019, the cost is R1.20 per square meter, and 1.2 square meter of wood is needed to make one chair. So raw materials consist of wood only. So we are only using wood to produce these chairs, and the cost is 120 per square meter, and 1.2 square meter of wood is needed to make one chair. During the year, 22,000 square meters wood was dispatched to the factory. Sihle feels that the wood raw material was not well controlled. Provide a calculation to support his opinion. So Sihle has got a feeling that the wood raw material was not well controlled. So let us do some few calculations to see if wood was well controlled or not. So let us check here. Let us then go to the number of units produced for chairs. The number of units produced is 16,000 units, and 1.2 square meter of wood is needed to make one chair. So 1.2 multiplied by 16,000 chairs. 1.2 square meter makes one chair. So if we produce 16,000, so we needed how many square meters of wood? 1.2 multiplied by 16,000. So we needed 19,200. 19,200 square meters. So this business needed 19,200 square meters to produce 16,000 units of chairs. But we are told here that during the year, 22,000 square meters of wood was dispatched to the factory. The factory used 22,000 square meters of wood. So 22,000 square meters of wood minus 19,200 square meters that should have been used. We can see that there is wood that has been wasted. 22,000 multiplied by minus 22,000 minus 19,200. There is 2,800 square meters. 2,800 square meters wasted. So that is why Sihle feels that wood raw material was not well controlled. We do agree with him. Wood raw material was not well controlled due to the fact that the business used 22,000 square meters instead of 19,200 square meters needed to produce 16,000 chairs. Therefore, it is clear that there is 2,800 square meters of wood that was wasted. And we need to identify now two possible causes of this problem, and we provide a solution for each. Two possible causes, causes and the solutions. Two possible causes of this wastage. The first one might be, if we are because it's just possible causes. The first one might be we are using unskilled labor. We are using unskilled labor, or people that we are using are not experts in terms of cutting wood and doing all that. So therefore they are wasting the material. So we are using unskilled labor, and the solution to that is to provide training. To improve efficiency. We need to send our workers for training so that we can improve their skills, and therefore that will minimize wastage. We want to do away with wasting of material, and we are assuming that one of the causes of this wastage might be that we are using unskilled labor, and therefore we need to provide training to these workers to improve efficiency. It might also be due to poor quality of wood. That is also possible. Poor quality of wood. It might also be due to poor quality of wood. If we are using wood of poor quality, it's very easy that it might be wasted. So in that case, we might need to consider changing the supplier. Change the supplier. Because here we are just looking at the possible causes and the solution for this wastage of 2,800 square meters of wood. The first one we are thinking of is the unskilled labor, and the solution might be to provide training, send them for training so that they may improve their skills and improve efficiency. Poor quality of wood, the solution to that might be to change the the supplier. 1.3.4, which is the last question in question 1, which is based on manufacturing. That's 1.3.4. 1.3.4. Give 2 reasons for the increase. Give 2 reasons for the increase in direct labor cost. Provide a solution for each. Note that wages and salaries increased by 5% in the current financial year. So we need to give 2 reasons for the increase in the direct labor cost, and we need to provide a solution for each. Reasons for the increase. We need to have reasons again, and also provide solutions. Reasons for the increase in the direct labor cost. Reasons for the increase in the direct labor cost. The first one might be there is more overtime. If there is more overtime, that will increase the direct labor cost. If there is more overtime, that will increase labor cost. So a solution might be to restrict overtime. The solution might be to restrict overtime and make sure that there is better supervision during normal time. Restrict overtime and better supervision. Restrict overtime and better supervision during the normal time, because there is a tendency for some workers that they will just be lazy during normal time and do not work with the hope that they will be granted overtime to finish work, because they know that the overtime rate is better than the normal rate. So therefore, the solution might also to make sure that you restrict overtime, and then there is better supervision during the normal time to ensure that workers are on time and they are on task. There might also be other reasons here which might lead to the increase in the direct labor cost. Like for example, the current one is load shedding. If there is load shedding, and then people will stop working. If there is load shedding and then the workers will stop working, and there is a result, they will have to work overtime, and then the direct labor cost will then increase. So maybe the solution to this is to have an alternative power supply. Right now we are currently on stage 6 of the load shedding, so it's a serious crisis. Therefore, it is important for companies that they need to provide an alternative power supply in order to ensure that there is no increase. There is no increase in the direct labor cost, because due to load shedding, when the workers stop working, therefore they then need to work overtime, and then the direct labor cost increases. So 1.3.4 was asking us to give 2 reasons for the increase in the direct labor cost, and we have provided those 2 reasons. We are looking at them. There might be so many reasons, but we were required to only provide 2, and we only looked at overtime and load shedding. So this brings us to the end of question 1. It's a very interesting question, manufacturing, and we are encouraging learners to make sure that they do as many activities based on manufacturing so that they do well in this question. When a question is question 1, it is important that you do well in question 1 so that you gain confidence moving forward to other questions, and then you stand a very good chance to do well in the whole exam. Thank you very much.